Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 284, take three. I'm Laura, also known as Lala. I had to think there
You
for
had
a
to
second.
think.
I did. I almost said also known as Miss Linneman because that's how my day has been going.
Yeah, well, you are also known as Miss Linneman, so.
I am
Um,
every day, all day.
I am Leslie, also known as You Won't Call Me Les. It's January 19th,
Oh,
2016. This is the third attempt at recording this. So if we.
Skype updated. It's super fun when it does.
Yeah, that it is super fun because then it messes with everything, all the plugins and stuff that we use, so. And usually we don't know that until we spend an hour and a half talking and being really funny and witty and like Pulitzer winning content.
Like we always are.
Right. So bear with us if we forget to mention something because in our brain we've already talked about it. Just feel free to poke us
Sure.
on the rap board and we'll um, answer you as quickly as possible.
Also true. So, would you like me to go first, or would you like to go
Why don't
first?
you go?
Awesome. I am knitting on a pair of socks. They are out of Desert Vista Dye Works in the Zombuddy It's Cold Outside, which is super appropriate for Mississippi today because it was 14 degrees with wind chill, which is like not, it was really like 24, but still. And my students this morning, like we arrive, I get to school at like 6:45 and
Mm.
the earliest they can come in is 6:50. And they were standing outside and I was like, why don't y'all come in? And they're like, no, we're good.
Yeah, we're
It's
too
like,
cool to go into the building early.
no, you're coming inside. It's 14 degrees outside. Like, and you're in shorts,
hmm
as you do. So anyway, it is super cold for Mississippi
hmm
here. We might actually get snow on Friday.
We're supposed to get a bad storm this weekend.
I'm torn between being really excited over the fact that we might get snow and sadly disappointed because I want to go to work because I just became an adult this year. So somebody it's cold outside. It goes through a four color repeat. So there's this light blue, and then there's a green and red variegated, and then there's like a white and silver gray variegated, and then there's a purple, red, and green variegated stripe, which is narrower. So it's very pixelated. I'm digging it.
Yeah, it's like speckled almost,
Yeah,
but only in sections.
only in sections. The blue's pretty solid, but the rest is, and the gray's pretty solid. But the rest is kind of speckled. So I am knitting these from the toe up. I cast on 16 stitches like I always do, and increase on either side and form a wedge toe. And then once I hit 64 total stitches, I start zipping my way up, except it's much slower than that. And then on this one, I decided to do a garter stitch short row heel because I've never done one before. And we're doing this try new techniques, craft all the things,
hmm
which is going on. So let me show you. Let me get a sock blocker. This is a sock blocker from the Loopy U. It's got a little sheepies on it. And I used I have a sock ruler, and my feet are actually 10 inches long. So, like the sock rulers that we gave out in the
hmm
SSK goodie bags, like I go to the edge of that. So, I went to, Garter Stitch Short Row Heels, Lucy Neat Me, says that they take up only around an inch and a half. So, sorry, I banged my funny bone. I went to 8.5 inches and then I started the heel. And it really doesn't take, like, it's a pretty, I would say, yeah, like an inch and a half would definitely be accurate. And I did measure it. Now it's at 10 inches exactly, which makes me super happy. Um, Things that are interesting about this heel. First off, oh, where did I put the book? Oh no.
Since we've already recorded, we've already like moved things around.
So this is a heel in Cool Socks Warm Feet, which is a great book from Lucy Neepy. She is also doing a craftsy knit along thing, which is free. And the short row heel is in next month's sock. Can you skip ahead? The answer would be no, because I tried. But there's a very nice message from Lucy Neepy saying, I haven't finished this sock yet. You must wait. So it is free on Craftsy. So I signed up for it because, heck, it's free. Um, So this is what the heel looks like, and that's pretty accurate to what mine looks like. Cool things that you do with this heel. You use the outside of the ball of yarn. So the heel is knit in a different yarn.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same yarn, but it's a different strand from all the rest of the sock. So you can see
So you
my
could do it as an
striping.
alternating color.
Yeah, you could do it as an alternating color for sure. But my striping sequence didn't get interrupted because I used this outside strand. I thought that was pretty cool. Now
Yeah.
I do have two extra ends to weave in, but still, it was pretty. And it is something that's like good for sitting still because you've got two strands and it's kind of a pain. But it was fun. She does recommend you go down a needle size. I did not because I'm already on zeros.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do have double zeros, I didn't feel like messing with that. So we'll see how well this wears with it just being on the zeros. Because you're using the other strand, if this heel wears out, you can snip down here, have live stitches, reknit the heel, the short rows on the heel,
Mm-hmm.
and then graft back up. So that's another cool thing. And she says this heel forms less, when you use the other strand, it forms less gaps on the side. I do not have a gap on that side at all. But where I join the yarn, I do have a gap, but part of that is I was not getting this correctly the first couple times because she has it written on double points and I wasn't transferring it in my brain correctly. So I was having to rip back. So I kind of shredded that edge stitch a little bit, like the yarn. It kind of came unplied. But I also have two ends right there that I
You
can
can
weave
tighten
in.
it with.
So I'm going to tighten that up a little bit.
And you
So
said this
that
is a
gets
60% heel, right?
Yes, thank you, Leslie, because I totally forgot. So you work it over, you can kind of see it cuts into my top stitches. Let me do it this way.
So by what she means by that is a lot of afterthought heels or heels in general are worked over only 50% of the stitches,
Yeah.
half of the total stitches. The larger percent of stitches you work around, the wider overall the
hmm
heel is.
So my stitch line for my back stitches is like right there, and you can see it goes past that a little bit. Just 3 stitches on each side. So that is, and I made notes. I took notes in my phone, so I would remember what I did, like working to the 8.5 and all that.
So, a question about that actually.
Uh-huh.
Typically, designers say leave between 2 and 2.25 inches for a heel.
Uh-huh.
Um, but generally, designers are also working over 50% of the stitches versus 60%. Do you think that the difference in Lucy calling for an inch and a half versus 2 inches is like in some cool like math conversion? Does that tie into using 60% of the stitches?
I think what it is your row gauge affects it because it's a short row heel. So the depth of the heel where that extra, hold on. So how wide this heel goes is dependent on how many, well, so it is dependent on how many rows back and forth you're knitting. But also it's dependent on your row gauge. If I had a wider row gauge, it would be deeper. Does that make sense?
If you had a smaller row gauge, like instead of 8 rows to the inch, you had 6 rows to the inch.
It would be shorter,
No,
right?
it would
Yeah.
be deeper if you're following the same
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
I just wondered if
Why
there
are
was
you
a
making me do
correlation
math?
between like the percentage of stitches that you
Well,
use to work the heel versus
you would be working more short rows, so that would make it deeper. If you were working over 50%,
right,
you'd
but it
have less
doesn't,
short
it
rows.
still is only an inch and a half, right? I mean, the depth of that heel is still only an inch and a half.
But if I was working less short rows, it'd be shorter.
That's
It would
true,
be an
but
inch and a
again,
half.
an inch and a half is still shallower than a lot of
Mm-hmm.
designers call for. So I guess that's my,
Well, because it's a short row. I think all short row heels are shallower in general
maybe
than a
so.
heel
I
flap heel.
typically, yeah, I'm more of a heel flap girl, but
We should do this thing.
oh God, not if it involves math. Not it.
No, 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 no. It doesn't involve math. We should do a thing where we compare different heel depths, which, like afterthought heels, you can make as deep as or
Right.
shallow as you want. But like a gusset heel, because you're increasing or decreasing out, that adds depth to the heel. Because the gusset, like, do you include the heel in the gusset measurement? I don't know.
I don't know. But
But
that's
the width of your heel flap is really what determines the depth of your heel.
right. And your row
On that,
gauge, right?
yeah. And your stitch gauge, not even your row gauge, because it's that way. Do I have? I don't know. I don't have heel flap socks. That's an interesting thought.
We should look more into that when we're not recording.
We should. Man. And now, like, people who know math are yelling at this
Yes.
rate.
Well, please go yell in not verbal, in the written form on our episode thread.
So, I did get a little bit of knitting done on this today. I'm trying to get these done tomorrow. Like, ideally, I'd like to get these done tomorrow because this is the first, and I need to do a pair.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like 2 inches into the top part, the cuff. Thank you.
Leg.
And the leg, and I like my legs to be around 5 inches. So I need to rock and roll on these to get these done in time for the Desert Vista sock thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I'm working on is I am working on Love of Spiders. This is using Sunshine yarn. This was a kit by Annie Light, who is Little Skein in the Big Wool.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's Charlotte and Spider's Web. Charlotte's the dark one, I think, and Spiderweb's the gray. And I am on the third. I just finished the third slip stitch repeat. So I have a couple more to go, and then I will do this huge section of slip stitches. And then there's like a garter at the bottom. So it uses around 750 yards, and I'm probably 50 yards in. So I got a little bit more work to do on this. I'm keeping it in my cute little Annie Light Charlotte's Web bag. Isn't that cute?
That is super cute.
It's got sheeps.
I like all the bags that she coordinates with the kits.
Yes, she does a good job coordinating the bags and the stitch markers and the patterns and everything. I think she's got one. She's got one coming out that has self-striping that Megan of Stockinette Zombies is designing for, I think.
That's cool.
Because it's the Twisted Sisters, whose yarn I really like, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
very tempted. I'll have to see what the book is.
Yeah.
So this is going well. It's being knit on size 5. It's a Sunshine Yarn Cashmere blend. I get a lot of work on it this weekend. I am, instead of cutting the yarn after every row, that is not the right side to show you that, every like 2 rows, I'm knitting with both colors. So you can't really see it from that side, I don't feel like. But when you flip it over...
are you knitting with both colors, or are you just carrying that second color up
No,
like you would in Fair Isle?
I'm knitting with both colors. I'm knitting with 2 strands of yarn, 1
Mm-hmm.
stitch, and then when I get to that stitch again, I just knit those 2 together.
Okay.
Are you doubting my ability to do this?
No, I don't see the stitch, like I don't see it, the blue stitches. That's why
I know, it's magic. I'm magical.
You really are.
Well, you can on the other side.
I can see the yarn being carried up.
Yeah.
But I don't see it
you
being
knit.
made into a stitch.
Yep. It's knit with both strands. That's my helpful hint. Like, if you're ever joining in the round, I knit with the tail yarn and the working yarn the first 2 stitches, too. And now, when I'm starting to change colors, I'm knitting with both strands, like the first stitch. And it anchors it really well. And it's probably something you're not supposed to do. But I'm doing it anyway, because I like it. And it anchors it, and you can't see it. So, I don't know. There's got to be a way. It's because of the way the stitch twists that you can't see it, I think, as you knit it.
Maybe
I don't know. It's magic. I'm super magic. And those are the 2 things I'm actively working on. That's all I got.
Your video is blurry again, and it's making me upset.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so, sorry about the hiccup. We're dealing with tech issues. Hopefully we won't have to stop and start again. Oh crap. I'm at the start of a row. I probably should stay at the start of a row since I'm supposed to talk now. Okay, so I've got some things that I'm working on. The first is a sock blank out of the Gales Art Special Snowflake sock blank. This is the first one.
That's pretty.
It's primarily white with snowflakes stenciled on. This was the December I think.
Yep.
Yep, the December
So I have the
2015
fall one.
special snowflake kit. Not kit, blank, sorry. And I'm on the cuff of the second one. I got maybe another inch to go before I start the heel flap. It's just kind of boring because it's mostly white yarn.
Yeah.
So I haven't worked on it a ton. I worked on it some when we were doing our first live broadcast on Friday.
Yeah, that was tons of
fun. I haven't worked on
fun.
it since then. Yes, it was fun. It was, I looked like an idiot in front of a bunch of people, but that's okay. I do that every week anyway. What else am I working on? I'm working on my Winchester plaid mitts. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's linked in the show notes. It is by Kathy Lewinsky, and it's written for Fingering White yarn. And I have some loft from Jared Flood. Not from him, from Brooklyn Tweed, his company.
Yeah.
And postcard.
He's doing like one-off ones. Did you see that he's got they're doing like one batch and then that's one and done. So he's got a lace weight right now.
Yeah,
and once
I knew he had done that, yeah.
He's only selling it on the website, and once it's gone, it's gone.
Well, that'll drive sales. Oh, wait, I think Vicky was telling me about that. I think she said limited availability sucked her in.
Yeah. It would for me if it was not the lace weight. Like the Clara Parks Cormo and stuff, that sucks me in.
Yeah. I'm too slow to get that. That stuff's gone so quick.
You can sign up to have a notification sent to you when her shop updates. That's how I got the 2 that I got. That's all I've gotten are 2 of the Cormos.
So I am working on these mitts. I just started the second one. So I've just passed the solid, and I've started the color work. But I'm only just a bit into it. The first one is mostly finished. I've got to pick up...
You better hurry if you want those for scraping.
Yeah, I've already had to scrape once without them. So I made these long so that I don't have a gap between my shirt and my coat.
Good call.
So they're an extra probably 6 inches past my wrist, maybe 5 inches. And on the top, they're just a plain plaid. And they haven't been blocked, so they still look kind of bumpy. And then on the underside, there's the
anti-possession
symbol. It's written with a gusset, not a gusset.
No, it's written with an afterthought thumb.
An afterthought thumb, which sort of, when you have an afterthought thumb, it sort of shifts the mitten sort of to the side. And I don't like that. So I've created a gusset thumb.
My thumbs need extra room. I need the extra space there.
So I started increasing at the base of my thumb and went up to, I think I have 19 stitches on the thumb. So I'll have to pick up and do this pattern.
What do you call the bottom? Like, what's this part of your thumb? What's that called?
It's the Venus mound, I think, or Venus something.
Huh.
I'm going to look that up.
It's not thumb stump, because that would be what I would call it.
And Venus, what is it called? Venus mound? I think that's what it's called. It sounds slightly sexual, though. No, that's not it. Apparently the Venus mound is not that. Fleshy part of hand. Sorry. It's something weird like that, though. Hold on. Stop laughing at me.
I'm swallowing before you make me do a spit take.
Oh, this is all sciencey shit. Sciencey stuff, sorry.
It's not important. We can move on.
Dang it, I want to know now, though. Thenar. Fleshy part of the hand is called the thenar. But it's got some other word, some other name I heard. But apparently not the Venus mound. Sorry. My ears are like smoking right now.
Don't Google that.
Well, yeah, you probably could, because that's a very scientific name for a dirty thing. Well, not dirty exactly, but private.
Not safe for work.
Right. Okay, moving on.
Oh, could we please?
I am working on mitered crosses. This is just the one that I happen to be working on right now. I just started the third part of this.
Oh.
I finished one block this week.
Have you done one upside down like I did the one
Oh
time?
yeah, I've done all kinds of ways. I actually was almost completely finished with on this one, on the second one. I, instead of starting and going across one side of this and then creating more stitches so that I could then do this side,
Yeah.
I did it across this. So basically I created a little pocket, but I didn't realize it until I was almost completely done with it because I pay attention to things.
I've done, like, you saw mine. I had a like one that was upside down. Did I
There was
rip it
one that was
out?
sideways,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nope.
So this is the seventh one that I've got. I'm just using hand spun from that people have gifted me. This is the hand spun that Sadie gifted me.
Who else's handspuns in there besides Sadie?
Right now, only Darren of Knitting in Circles, although they don't podcast anymore. The double rainbow colorway is his.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think it's just his and Sadie's that I've been working on. I have some from Amy. I have some from Malia. I have some from you. I have some from Melissa. I have some from Casey.
Wow.
I actually have a couple from Amy. I don't know. A bunch of folks. So I'm just going to keep on making squares
Until you run out.
until I run out.
And you're going to use fleece for the outside, like a neutral, correct?
Right. I'm going to, since I have so many fleeces, I'm going to use a spun yarn, a yarn spun from one of my fleeces, probably either a dark brown or a gray, so that it sort of kind of contrasts enough but blends enough with the colors.
Gotcha.
And that is it for me.
Cool. I have two finished objects. Both are baby hats. So this is my basic baby hat recipe. You cast on size 6 needles. I have 12-inch circulars, and that's what works for me, but you could also use double points or magic loop. I cast on 60 stitches. I knit like 1.5 inches or 8 rows in ribbing. Then I knit in stockinette until it reaches 5 inches. Then I start decreasing by knit 2 together. Well, knit 4, knit 2 together, knit around, knit 3, knit 2 together, until you get to knit 2 togethers all the way around, pull it through, weave in the ends, voila, newborn baby hat. So this one is scraps of cashmere merino and lime brand cashmere, which is like 10% cashmere, and the rest is merino wool. And then this one, which is like my favorite, is actually a DK weight from Marigold Gem in the Yoshi colorway. It matches some toddler socks that I knit a couple of years ago. I designed an afterthought heel toddler sock pattern for like when I teach classes. Mm-hmm. So this will be some very styling babies in my future, because I have like 4 baby showers coming up. So I'm trying to like restock the baby shower bin before, because my coworkers are not the best at being like, hey, in a month we're gonna have a baby shower. It's more like, hey, and tomorrow we're gonna have a baby shower.
Didn't they tell you about that?
Yeah. Oh, we meant to send out invites, and I'm like, what now? And I know I have one coming up at the end of this month, and I'm kind of worried about that she's not going to get a whole lot because it's one of our special ed teachers, so a lot of people don't know her. Oh, yeah. And it's like my coworkers and I, we get paid monthly, and we get paid the last day of the month that we work. So we got paid December 19th, and we won't get paid again until January like 30th. Mm-hmm. So I'm worried like if they have it that Friday before we get paid, that's really hard for people, especially with like Christmas in there to budget. Dollars. Yeah, it's a lot of people that are like, I need to be good because I have 20 cents in the bank account. So I want to make sure I do enough for her that like she has actual physical, like I feel bad if she doesn't have a lot of stuff. Like I always feel bad if I go to a baby shower and people don't have a lot of stuff. Yeah. And then I overcompensate by knitting them all the things. Because I'll be like, oh man, like if they don't get a lot of stuff, I'll be like, I totally had something else for you and I left it at home. And I go home and go through the baby bin and make sure that I can get them more stuff. Anyway, that's what I've been working on. Hopefully I'll get that pretty restocked soon. What have you finished a cross stitch, correct?
Yes, I did. And then after we recorded yesterday, I put it into soak so that, all the stitches even out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forgot that I had done that, so it's still
Oh.
wet right now. So this is something I created to hang in my cube at work because I dislike working in a cube, but who does like it, right? So I thought I would bring something silly to the table because the only sort of personal thing I really have there is Bev Love cross-stitched me Golden Girls thing. Golden Girls, what do you call it?
Cross stitch?
Yeah, piece
Yeah.
with all the four ladies, and it says thank you for being a friend, and I love it, so I hang it up there so I can see it. But
Yeah.
anyhow, I made this. It says I'm not miserable, it's just my face, because I have that very pleasant sort of default face. Not pleasant at all.
Yeah.
Which is just my resting face. A lot of people call it their resting B-word face.
There's a whole feminist thing about that too
Yeah.
that we won't go into.
No.
But anyway.
This is a pattern from Etsy. I've got it linked in the show notes. I think it was like $3 or something. The shop is called Plastic Little Cover. She has lots of great patterns. And it didn't take me long, except that I kept messing up. I was off by like one line, so all my stitches here were up a line, and if it wouldn't have messed up the whole look of it, I would have totally just left it in. But I had to cut them all out and start over. But that's it. I'm going to I've got a Pinterest link pinned where you sort of baste it down to a piece of cardboard, and then you can put it in a frame really easily.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about all the ends and everything. So I'm going to see how that works.
You should let me know how that works because I have some pieces that need to be framed.
Yeah,
So let me know.
I will.
I have been spinning some wool pierogi roll eggs, but I do not have them to show to you because they look like pencils. They're amazing. But I am spinning on them on the Shackreeves, and to be honest, the Shackreeves is more difficult than any other wheel to get
The bobbins on
that
there.
I own to get the bobbins on and off because it's a giant 30-inch wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm spinning them so that the colors will stay put. So I'm going to Navajo ply them,
Mm-hmm.
which will be fun. But I don't really want to take the bobbin off if I don't have to
Yeah.
before that point. So they look like pencils. So it's super fun. It goes from like a black of the lead to the yellow to silver for the bottom part of the eraser to I'm looking to see if I have any pencils. Yeah. To it looks just like this. It is amazing. So it's super cool. Becca does a great job with her stuff.
Yeah.
She's got lightsaber ones too that I kind of want, but I have not gotten yet. But anyway, that's the spinning that I've been doing.
Cool.
Just a wee bit. I need to. Yesterday was the first day that I did not spin since the beginning of the year. So I need to get going.
It happens. I need
It
to
does.
spin some this evening. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah. So, and I've been washing wool, a whole bunch of wool washing. We have a book to review, though. It is Family Friendly Knits by Courtney Spainhower. It retails for $22.99 in the U.S. and $25.50 in Canada. Looks like this. The lovely folks over at Interweave sent this to us. Courtney is the person behind Pink Brutus Knits, so you might have seen her stuff before. She's done patterns for Interweave and Knit Scene before, as well as Infinite Twist. So she's a very cool lady. What she's basically doing with this book is updating some classic pieces, and there's a lot of interesting techniques in this book. We do have a few criticisms of this book, and let's go right into those, and then we can show you all the pretty patterns. But one of the dislikes, so this is called Family Friendly Knits, and there are something like 16 projects in here. I had counted yesterday. And some of them are for every member of your family. Like there's cuff-to-cuff socks that would fit everyone, a choose your own adventure toque
Mm-hmm.
and the must-have mittens, and those will fit every member of your family. But there's besides those, there's two kids sweaters and like two or three guys sweaters, and everything else is for the
Women. Mm-hmm.
ladies. So it's I feel like even though it says it's family friendly knits,
It's not
I
as
kind
balanced
of
as we would
I
have
kind of
liked.
wish like the woman patterns, because there are so many women's patterns out there, had taken a backseat to more family patterns. Sizing on it is not the best. The largest size it goes to is round about 47 inches
For the female patterns.
for the
For the
female
male
patterns.
patterns, most of them go up to around 46, although there is one that goes up to like 54, I believe.
There is no mention of ease, like how much ease you would need,
Right.
which is a big problem for some of the bulkier weight stuff. She says like it's built to have ease built in, but you
Doesn't
don't
tell you right.
don't really know. And
Right.
everything like is like if it says 46 and a half on the schematic, it's 46 and a half. There's no ease at all.
Right.
Like sometimes it'll say size to fit 46 and a half, and then you look at the schematic and it's really like 48 and a half. So those are the
Also,
major criticisms
I
that we
don't
have.
see a lot of shaping in most of the pieces, which could make things a little more flattering and better fitting. But that being said, I do think there are some interesting things in here that I haven't seen other
There's
places.
definitely some interesting techniques and some if you're looking to do something, and there's some nice classic pieces in here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one that you might want to take a look through and see. There's some really interesting design elements too. Like for example, the summer lace pullover
Mm-hmm.
has like these short rows here.
Yeah, and then almost like a sweetheart scoop in that alternating color, which
But yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
interesting. We're not completely sold on that one. We
Although I
discussed
do
it
like the
length
way that it
before.
starts with like the collar and the saddle shoulders. It's a really
Yeah.
interesting construction.
Like
And
there's these, let
the
me
back
found
of
the
it looks
picture.
great, actually. I love the way the back of it looks.
And there's this shoulder element that's really, really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. There are pleats in the underarm. I don't
Yeah.
know how that's an interesting element design wise. I'm not certain how flattering it would look, but it's really interesting as well. So a lot of these patterns do have some interesting elements to them. I really like the Lindy yoke pullover. It is for gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
You could do it out of one color if your person you're knitting for prefers that. It has a cable that goes down the front and then cables on the sleeves.
Which could easily be omitted if that's too fussy for your guy. Some guys really only like the super plain stuff.
Yeah.
And it's knit in a worsted weight, so it would knit up pretty quickly in the standard Elizabeth Zimmerman style yoke from the bottom up.
It's made worsted out of holding lace doubled. That's how you can get that modeled
Ah,
effect.
okay.
Like part of it is the talkie tweed, and then the other part is lace held doubled, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It says from a 35 and a half up to 46 and a fourth. It's worked from the bottom up, and then yeah, so you hold two together for the bottom up, and then once you get to the yoke, you join for the yoke, you just do one strand of a heavier weight.
Although I'm not sold
Oh,
on the
I think you just
collar is a
hold one.
little
Huh.
wide. It looks like in the back, but again, these are all. This is all us being kind of picky about it, so
Yeah.
take it with a grain of
Actually, you
salt
just hold the lace weight with the worsted weight up
to get
until
that
that
model.
point, and then you drop the lace weight. That's interesting. I just
Makes
assumed
sense.
it was something else. Cool. There's a saddle shoulder Gansey style
Mm-hmm.
that has that saddle shoulder detail again.
But again, you
Very
can tell that
Elizabeth.
it's got some positive ease on her, and it's not addressed as to how much or.
It's sized from 32 and 3/4 up to 43 and a half. So even the largest size with no ease would be difficult for me to fit
Mm-hmm.
in. It is a worsted weight. It's knit in one piece from the top down in those saddles. So it's a very Elizabeth Zimmerman style pattern. And I do like that front band quite a bit. It's an interesting piece.
The next is the aileron shawl cardigan, which I think is interesting and looks really great on the model in the book. It is sized based on your back measurement
Hmm.
um, from shoulder to shoulder. And it is essentially a big rectangle with
Yep.
sleeves put in. And again, it's very flattering on the model. It's knit from side to side. It's got these really
It's got that
unique angel
cool
wing
detailing.
across the back, which is something I haven't seen before. And it looks great the way that it's worn as a layer with, you know, more snug pieces underneath. But again, it's a little too non-specific for me, although it looks wonderful on her.
Yep. I like the must-have mitts. They're super cute. They're like child-sized, women's and man sizes.
I
So
like how the thumb, the gusset increases for the thumb are done.
yes, I like those a lot. So it's child small, child large, adult small, adult large. So 4 3/4, 6, 6 1/2. Those are the samples, and then there's a 5 1/4 size in between for the larger size child too. Cute little cable, really cute pattern. Uses a skein of probably less than a skein of sock yarn. You could probably get mitts for almost your whole family
Right.
out of one skein. It could be matchy matchy.
Next is the
There's
Hal
the
Yoke
Hal
cardigan.
Yoke cardigan.
This one is
It's a
knit in
steeped cardigan.
an Aran weight. It does have some the nice arrow detailing right under the color work, which I think is a cool little,
I do like that a lot.
yeah. The sizes are 37 up to 47 1/4 inch bust circumference with everything buttoned. Again, it doesn't really give you any information about ease, even though
But there's obvious ease built into
Right.
that.
The charts are nice and clear and big, and they are color sorted, so it is easy to differentiate the stitches there.
There's kind of a little person's version of that as well. It's very oversized on him. There's an end sticking out, and it's driving me crazy every time I look at that picture. Like they've rolled up his sleeves because it's too big, and then
Right.
there's that end sticking out.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's super cute. Instead of having the arrow detailing below the bust line on the little kids version, it's above the color work, which is also super duper cute. It's a simple yoked cardigan. You would steek it. So this would be a great way to first, like a small version of steeking if you just want to give steeking a try.
I also thought the dart shawl is interesting. It's one that I would really have to see and play with in person. It's knit out of 7 hanks of Madeline Tosh vintage worsted, so it's 1,400
wow.
yards.
That's like a sweater's worth for
Yes.
me.
So it's very big, and it's got a really interesting shape to it. It's sort of like a narrow but deep triangle.
I wish there was a diagram for that shape.
Right, I agree.
There's not.
I think it's
You can
interesting
kind of
and
see it when
unique
it's
enough
stretched out.
that
Yeah.
it should have a diagram, especially for like blocking measurements. I mean, it should come with a diagram. But it is lovely, and it does have a lot of great stitch definition in it, and several different stitch patterns with even some lace eyelets in there.
It has
So-
an Estonian lateral braid, which I've never done before.
It looks really interesting, but before I would put 1,400 yards into a shape I've never seen before, I would like to.
That's almost 200, well, like $150 of Madeline Tosh.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's a big project.
But then
There
there's
are-
small projects.
Yes, there's some really cute choose your own adventure cows. So you use Jameson's Spindrift, which is a fingering weight, and kind of choose the stitch patterns that you want to incorporate. There's lots of charts to choose from. And then there's the choose your own adventure
Tote.
which is probably my favorite. That and the mitts are probably my 2 favorite pieces in here. That also uses spindrift, and it's got Latvian braid patterns, pom-pom or not. You get to choose what you want to do. Lots of different charts, and you can go from there. After that, there is a poncho, which doesn't really thrill me because it's a poncho, and I just don't wear ponchos. But there is the Little Wild Raglan pullover, which must be discussed.
It really must be. So
Because it uses a loop stitch across the entire front panel of the sweater to create a furry appearance. So like a little lion, or she says you can switch the color and
And
make
make
it
her
a
a,
bear or
or
a
a monkey.
monkey
Yeah.
or
So
so
those of
a
you
fun
who
dress up
remember
sweater.
Knitty from like 2005 or 6, there was a pattern called Gur, and it was a washcloth.
Yes, and it uses that same
It
stitch
uses
pattern.
the same. That's the reason I recognize the stitch. Just this sort of like fluffy, loose end looking
Mm-hmm.
thing. It is kind of a pain to knit that stitch, so I feel for whoever had to knit the
Called the
sample.
loop stitch.
And then you go back and you snip all the ends so that they're nice and fuzzy. While I appreciate that the designer sort of went out of the box on this one, I just feel like most children would spend most of their time picking those ends and pulling them and worrying them out of the sweater and then thereby destroying the sweater.
Yeah.
Um, I also feel like it would hold a lot of dirt and dust in there.
Could be.
Um,
Leslie would like to use that child as a dust mop.
I feel like she could really get my floors super clean. And now I've been really catty, and I apologize because that's not meant as. It's just, you can't not make that reference when you see that sweater. Moving on.
There's a really cool guy's sweater, the Lantham Gansey jacket.
Mm-hmm. I love the buttons that she did with that sweater, actually. I think that's a beautiful combination of those rounded leather buttons with that rustic wool.
And I like that it's a coat style sweater.
Mm-hmm.
It is sized and it's stranded with a little bit of texture down at the bottom, above and below the color work, which is really nice. It uses shelter, which is a worsted weight Brooklyn tweed, very lofty yarn. It goes from a size 39 and a fourth all the way up to 55 and a fourth. So lots of size range in this one. This might be the most versatile piece in the book for men, especially. Lovely, lovely shoulder
Mm-hmm.
seams. Just absolutely gorgeous there.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, from versatile, there's the peak tank, which again I think looks very nice on the model. It's sort of a big lace layering piece, but it is
Yeah.
um, it does end above the navel. It has a lovely back lace
Oh,
mesh
that would be
detail.
good for people who are in a warmer climate to layer, I feel like. And
Yes,
you can always make things longer.
it would look great in like a tropical climate, even worn over like a bathing suit. The sizing initially looks great from 43 to 58 and a quarter, but this one is 45 inches.
Oh,
You know that this model is not more than 34 inches across at the most.
yeah.
So, again, having information about ease would be supremely useful in determining sizing for this. It is a lovely piece, but I feel like the family that we're talking about in this family-friendly knits isn't super diverse. They're all beautiful, thin people.
That could be that's a good point. There are some nice accessories though in the book. And we are doing the learn new techniques,
Mm-hmm.
craft all the things, and these socks might be a great way to learn a new
Yeah,
technique.
they
They're
definitely fit the
actually
bill.
knit. The first one is knit from the top down, and then after you decrease for the toe, you actually make a little toe chimney out of a second, like a waist yarn.
Yes, and then you join
And
them
then
here.
you knit the next, then you go back to the original yarn and you knit from the toe up. And so you don't have, and then eventually you'll cut
Yeah, you'll trim the
and
ends here, and you'll have
then
two
we've
separate
been,
socks. Mm-hmm.
yep. So it's a way of conquering that second sock syndrome. There's a really cool stitch pattern that runs across the top
Mm-hmm. Like a
of
linen
the,
stitch almost.
yeah. It uses a short row heel. The
Mm-hmm.
yarn they chose is gorgeous. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Tanis Fiber Arts Yellow Label DK. So it is a DK weight sock. So it's a little bit thicker. It'll go a little bit faster. Just really, really pretty, family friendly. And it is sized to fit different sized children, the women's sizes. So no male sizes, but like the highest women's size is an 8 to 11. So I think it would be pretty easy to it's pretty easy to upscale socks.
Mm-hmm.
So you just cast some more stitches. And it's a woven. Yeah, it's a slip one purlwise with yarn in front. So really, really pretty.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. So this book could be one that I would definitely recommend you look through before you buy it, or at least look through the patterns on Ravelry.
Right.
There's lots of hits. There's a little bit of misses for us when it comes to some of the technical elements, like listing ease and some sizing
Right.
requirements. But overall, really and bringing innovative and bringing some classic pieces and updating them a little bit. And that is Family Friendly Knits by Courtney Spainhower. It is published by Interweave Press, and it retails again for $22.99 in the US, $25.50 in Canada. So Family Friendly Knits. Um, so what have you been reading? Oh, we have
There's a
a
question.
question. Before I see, I'm not even looking at the show notes. I'm just skipping around. NittyCat16 asks, "Hello, ladies. As I become a more prolific sock knitter, I want to stretch the yardage of my lovely sock yarn skeins with coordinating heels and toes. Since not all dyers provide these, do you have any recommendations for heel and toe mini skeins?" And Leslie and I discussed this a lot yesterday, and the day before when we tried recording
Yeah.
originally. But what we really feel like works best for us, works best for me, is I get some neutrals
Mm-hmm.
in like Patton's Croix. So I have a black, I have a gray, and because I knit a lot of black and gray, but they sell neutrals in Patton's Croix and Regia in like 50-gram skeins.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily even limit yourself to mini skeins. If you're going to be doing alternating heels and toes as a rule for a certain type of sock or semi regularly, then you're going to go through a full skein's worth eventually. I
Yep.
mean, why not just get one full skein and use that? It's probably cheaper than buying.
Or the 50-gram skeins, which are
Yeah.
like half skeins for sure. We know Miss Babs does minis. Another Crafty Girl does some minis.
Hmm.
Leading Men Fiber Arts does minis. There's a lot of indies out there that do minis, but Regia really is hardcore wearing and will stand the test of time. And you can buy 50-gram balls, and so you can do that with Patton's Croix. The only one that I've come across, excuse me, that has not worked well for me is the Knit Picks. There are solids in the fingering weight, which is a 25% merino, 75% super or 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I think it's stroll. It is so softly spun. And I'm really rough on my socks. It has not held up for me quite as well as Regia or some other ones.
Which
So
isn't to say it's a bad yarn. It's just
no.
um, myself, I prefer a tighter twist on my sock yarn just because to me it tends to wear better that way. And Stroll is a lovely soft yarn, but it's not as tightly twisted. And
Yep.
like Laura mentioned, it's more softly spun.
It's
So,
killing on me. I used
yeah.
it for my queer socks, and you can definitely tell that it is wearing much different than the queer patchwork yarn that I used it with.
Yeah.
So I hope that gives you some ideas. If anyone has any other suggestions, please put them in the episode thread.
Yeah.
We'd love to see what y'all use. There's lots of mini skein options out there, but also what else you do.
Yeah.
I am currently listening to the second Charlie Davidson series, and I've got to hustle and flow on that because I have the third checked out from the library, and it's almost out of time. So I
How
need
are
to
you going
do
to listen to it before it
tomorrow.
expires? Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, my dog messed with the freaking camera again.
I could disconnect my iPad to the internet, and then I will have it until I
That is true.
reconnect it to the internet.
Oh. Trixie, Trixie.
That could be happening. No, I can always, it's on overdrive, so I can always renew it. Or I can just get back in line. By the time maybe it gets back aligned and it rolls back around, maybe I'll have
And
finished the second
Overdrive
book.
is your digital library loaner system.
Yep. I have been reading the entire Mythos Academy series by Jennifer Estep. I also read her Big Time Hero series. The Mythos Academy series is a YA series. It is about a girl who becomes so Loki is evil and he tries to take over the world, and Nike defeats him and they lock him away. And centuries later, there's been this battle ongoing to like try to free Loki, and the Reapers are the bad guys who want to free Loki. And there's champions for like Nike, and it goes down this line, the Frost line, and Gwen Frost is the main character, and she has become Nike's champion. That's a spoiler. It happens at the end of book one.
Hmm.
But she goes to an academy with all these other children who have special powers, like they're Spartans or berserkers
And
or
it's never a bad idea to have children going through puberty
with
and to school
swords,
together
and magical
with
powers.
powers.
Swords. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing battle series. There's six, I think, in the series. I'm on book six now. I'm kind of sad to see the end of it, though. I've been enjoying it. The main characters are interesting. They
Good.
keep me going. It's a little, yeah, it's a little, anytime you have a mythology book, you've got to compare it to Lightning Thief. So
You've
it's,
got to compare it to Lightning
okay,
Thief.
I've got to compare it to Lightning Thief because that is by which all mythology books are compared.
See, I didn't
And
care
this,
for it as much.
oh, I love Lightning Thief. And this is good. Obviously it's girly romancy. So as YA books
Nothing
are,
wrong with that.
it is upper YA. I would definitely say 16, 15, 16, 17. There is some sexual content in it because it is a high school. So you get and drinking and pot. So you get the
So
typical.
really, it's not for kids at all.
No, I mean it's for high school age. It's meant to be for high school, upper middle school. So there's that. I finished the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan. That was good. Again, Lightning Thief, what everything's held to, and that's his New Norse Gods series. So it was good. It was decent. It's definitely going to be at least a trilogy, I think. And then I also read Port Chicago 50 by Steve Schenken, which is a very, I had no idea this had happened, a very sad period in American history. It is part of the civil rights movement, and it's one of Thurgood Marshall's first big cases. It is a mutiny that occurred amongst African American sailors who were not allowed to serve on boats. They were just used to load weapons, munitions, and because of some non-following of safety guidelines, over 300 of them were killed in a disaster. And then they were told, go back and load more munitions. And when they refused, they were tried as mutineers. And it's, I think, the largest mutiny in U.S. Navy history. I think that's what they said. But it's really a sad period of American history and one that everyone should know about.
Yeah, I had never
So,
heard of it until we talked about it when we recorded the
and
first time.
Steve Schenken writes some amazing nonfiction. I have his new book, which is about the Vietnam War. But he's also written about Benedict Arnold and the race for nuclear weapons in the United States and the Civil War and the Revolutionary War and these guys who stole Lincoln's body out of his grave so they could try to convince the U.S. government to let some bootleggers go. So, yeah, like he
Okay.
does some interesting history pieces. So, which I had no idea had happened either. So, really, really interesting stuff. I like his stuff a lot. What are you reading?
Nothing nearly as shame-free. Although I wouldn't say Port Chicago 50.
Yeah,
Yes, I wouldn't say that's shame-free, but like you don't.
different types of shame.
Yes, there you go. So I have been listening to the Atlantis Gene series. I read the books a couple years ago. Well, I read the first two for sure. I'm not certain if I had read the third. So I listened to the Atlantis Gene. These are by A.G. Riddle. They're sort of contemporary, kind of science fiction,
Mm-hmm.
in that it references an alien culture that guides our evolution. Sort of. It's kind of hard to explain without giving away everything. But I finished the first book. I'm close to being done with the second one, which is the Atlantis Plague. As far as reading, I've read a male-male romance called Full Domain, which is the third in a series. It was pretty good. I read Found, which was the fourth in a series of The Brides of Kindred, which was kind of terrible. It's an alien romance, and these aliens there's three different type of aliens. There's the Blood Kindred. There's the...
They vampires?
No.
Oh. You can't be you can be vampire aliens.
And
Angela
then
Knight is a vampire alien series.
there's the Twin Kindred, who when they mate, they're brothers, and they mate with one person. Drama ensues. And then there's the one other one I can't remember where they like have all these evil teeth and they bite their mate. So, anyway, it's weird. I don't even know why I got into that series because it's just too... I can't suspend disbelief enough for that. And then I'm reading Recurve, which is a new series by Shannon Meyer.
Yeah.
Elemental series. Let's see, what else?
That was it. Favorite things. I'm going to DFW the week after my birthday, which is April 1st. So I'm super excited to see a bunch of people there. I'm flying in Friday. I'll be staying Saturday. I'll be going Friday. I'm flying in at I have to leave the house at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, excuse me.
3:30, I think. Yeah, something crazy early. And I'm going to sleep on the plane. And then I'm going to go to DFW, so that'll be fun. And I'll fly back Sunday, so I'll be around there. I'm excited. This is my first time going to DFW, and I've heard wonderful things. Leslie just got back from Vogue Knitting Live. I can't even talk. Knitting Live.
I did. So Vogue Knitting Live was this past weekend in New York City. I live in southern coastal New Jersey. So, and I did not want to drive in New York City. I didn't mind driving to New York City, but I hate driving in New York City. So, I decided I was going to be a grown-up and take a trip on the train because I'd never done that by myself before.
Oh, it's fun.
So I took the local SEPTA regional train from close to my house to Philadelphia, and then I took Amtrak from Philadelphia to New York City in Penn Station. I had planned out all my subway stops and where I needed to go and which order I needed to go in because some shops closed earlier than other shops. And once I got to Penn Station, I had a little bit of confusion finding where the local subways were in relation to everything else because it was just super crazy and busy. I guess it probably always is. But I did finally get to the right train, and I even figured out on my own which was uptown and which was downtown.
Yay!
Because for a city girl, I say city girl, I guess I'm really more of a country girl compared to New York City, but I didn't really know the difference between uptown and downtown, and it's as simple as if the numbers go up, it's uptown, and if the numbers go down, it's downtown.
Oh, there you go.
At least I hope so. That's what I worked out, and it ended up working out right. So I got on at Penn Station, and I was supposed to get off at 42nd, but when I got on the subway, I sat down, and behind me was a poster advertising the Museum of Sex, and I thought it was funny, so I was trying to take a picture of myself to send to Laura, and then I missed my stop because I was paying attention, right? And then because of there was some construction and it was the weekend and it was a holiday weekend, and so the routes were a little different than usual. The next stop was 10 blocks down. So I got out and just took a taxi because, that's what I decided I was going to do. So I took a taxi. I got to the Marriott Marquis where Vogue Knitting Live was being held about 12:15 or 12:30. And before I even walked in, I met Thea Coleman,
Yay!
who is one of our SSK teachers this year. She recognized me. I didn't recognize her because I guess I didn't really have a picture in my mind of what she looked like, except for...
I don't know what Thea looks like.
In my brain, she looks like her daughter because her daughter models a lot of her
there you go.
sweaters and stuff. And she is a tiny, adorable lady. And so we chatted for a little bit, and then I went in and thought that I had done really well. I spent 45 minutes in the main area where the booths were. And you should know this about me. You do, I know, but in general, people should know this about me. When I go to a show, I like to like run through once to look at stuff, run through again to buy what I want, and then I'm out. Like, I have no desire to hang around and like meet new people and all that. Not because I don't like to do it, but because I have
A lot
anxiety
of people.
and already take medicine for anxiety, but that many people, that small of a space, it was hot, it was loud, and there's a lot going on, people moving, there was a runway show going on. It was just too much. So I ran through, and then on my way out, I ran into Anjanette, who told me, by the way, there's another floor to this thing. So I went up to the other floor and ran through. I found some good stuff there too, so I'm really glad she told me about it. But
So show me what you got.
so first stop was Steph at Loop,
I
who
love
was
Steph.
lovely. And actually, at the point that I went, there was only one other person in her booth, so I got plenty of time to
Wow.
look at stuff. So she has some really lovely things, and I got two. One is called Lagoon. One is called Light Bright. They're both the short repeats of color.
I love her new short repeats.
So this one's more like psychedelic and rainbow bright, and this one is more,
It looks like a light bright. That's what they look like.
yeah.
Did you have a light bright growing up?
Um,
Where you pushed in the pegs and they
oh
lit
yeah, on a
up?
black like peg
Yeah,
board
that's
thing.
what that's
Yeah.
meant to look like.
Oh, okay.
I did not have a light bright,
I thought it was
but
a rainbow bright reference.
there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
had a light bright. Well, I did for like 4 days, and then my sister threw away all the little pins. So, don't you love siblings?
They're the
So I
best.
went and chatted with her, and she's actually going to send us some stuff because she
She's
now
doing mini
does.
bats, said.
Yeah, she does like instead of it being one bat with these long color repeats, or the shorter ones, she'll do two identical bats, but they're smaller, so you can apply
That's
them
awesome.
together to get the long repeat.
Makes
So
a
you're-
nice, easy two-ply.
Yeah, so she said she's going to send us some of those.
Cool.
What else did I get? So I also went by Jill Draper.
Narwhal.
Of course, all the wool. So I went by Jill Draper.
I totally said narwhal and not
Oh.
all the wool.
I did go by the Narwhal place, but
I
that's
know.
not yet. So I got some Jill Draper makes stuff in the Mohawk base, which is 100% unregistered New York sheep and Cormo. I don't know what unregistered is. Maybe they're like the naughty sheep. So they're on the, they're not, I don't know.
They're sheep on the lamb.
Yeah. Where'd you hear that? So this is all Cormo. It's really squishy and happy and bouncy, and I really like it. So I got two colors.
So happy because they're running from the law.
Yeah. They're bad. God, I'm saying a lot. Good gracious. So these are
Because
two
we've
of the
been at work
colors
all day.
she has.
They're pretty. Emerald and what was the other one?
Cobalt.
Pretty.
So one's for you and one's for me.
I want the emerald.
Okay. And I picked up another one for a friend of mine who asked. And
Cool.
let's see, what else? Narwhal.
Narwhal.
So I spoke to the I don't know if they were boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, wife, but it was a couple. They could have been brother, sister for all I know, actually, but they were at the Narwhal Needlework booth. They were very, very sweet. And I asked them, actually, why narwhals?
Uh-huh. What
This
did
is-
they say?
This is the
Did they
logo.
say that they were the unicorns of the sea? Because
Well-
that is the correct answer.
The lady said she wanted something fun and whimsical. And then the
Did you
gentleman...
ask her if she knew that
Hush,
they were real?
hush. And then the gentleman said, you know, if any animal could knit, you would think that the narwhal could with its big long horns. So I was like, yeah, that's probably true. So
It's a tooth and not a horn, but yeah.
whatever. Ooh.
Did you ask them if they knew if narwhals were real?
They did, surprisingly, since they have a company named Narwhal. But they did. I did tell them that I didn't realize they were real until a few months ago, and he said that they hear that all the time.
Oh.
So,
Well, you heard that a lot on our episode thread, though, too.
so this is Brienne. This is a worsted weight. It's got sort of a sky blue base with lots of pops of different color in it. I think this would make an awesome hat.
I told Leslie the only thing I wanted from Vogue Knitting Live was a picture of her in front of the narwhal sign, and she did not
I
deliver.
did
It
take a
made me
picture
very
of the
sad.
narwhal sign. There were people in the booth, dude. I'm not going to disrupt this lady's business just because I want a picture. I'm considerate. I also got some BFL spinning fiber called
The
Wild Creek.
only thing I wanted was a picture of you in
Fine,
front
and
of
I'll keep all the yarn that I bought for you. I will keep it since I disappointed you.
the.
Look at this beautiful
It
fiber.
is pretty. It's a mixed BFL. Is
Yeah,
that what you were saying?
it is.
I
It's
like
well, it
it.
says it's just BFL, but it definitely is mixed with the oatmeal-y
Yeah,
color in it.
I love how that oatmeal BFL takes color.
Yeah, and it's so light and airy and
Ooh.
squishy. It makes me happy. They had a lot of really great colors, so
Yeah,
um, that is Narwhal Needlework. I think they have an Etsy shop. Yep.
cool.
And let's see, what else did I get? I got.
You got the name of that place in New Mexico that had the cool blends.
Yes,
There you go.
Crave yarn. She had all these little bags you could get if you bought X amount of yarn, like 3
Oh,
skeins of
cool.
yarn. You got a bag, and it's actually a really well made bag. And she had different colors for zippers and stuff.
Ooh,
So
that's a really smart marketing gimmick.
this is only her 3rd year in production, and it's her first show. So this, I guess, she's relatively new to the like public
Circuit.
scene.
Yeah.
Her name is Amor, and she lives in New Mexico. And she had a really innovative booth set up with like kind of wonky asymmetrical cubes, but they all worked together. And she had solids and kettle dyes, no real variegates that I noticed, but a really beautiful modern booth set up, and the colors
Cool.
were great too. So I got 2 bases. I got one that is the filigree base, which is a 75 merino 25 silk blend. It's kind of a
Ooh.
lilac-y silver color. The lights are kind of glaring it out a little bit, but it's called Pyrenees Bloom. And then I got this really interesting base called Thoreau, like the writer.
Yeah.
50% yak fleece, 50% silk. It's 415 yards of a fingering weight. It's really light comparatively to,
Wonder if they mean down by fleece.
I don't know. It
Like
just
yak
says
and down versus
50% yak
fleece.
fleece is what it says. This is the Stolen Seas colorway. It's sort of a kind of a cross between teal and aquamarine.
Because yak has those guard hairs.
Well, there's definitely, I mean, this is
Yeah, it's
like
soft.
decadent
I
feeling.
think they mean down.
Again,
Oh,
this is from Crave Yarn in Santa Fe. She has a nice, simple, clean logo.
cool.
And they all come with these little silver stitch markers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then on my way out, very last booth, I ran by some really cool variegates that I couldn't pass up. So I got, this is from a vendor called Shirsty Cat Designs. I'm going to put that up here for you to see. Not Shirtsy, but ShirstyCat.com. She had a lot of really wild and crazy variegates, and a lot of them spoke to me, but I decided I'm going to try her base first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So I got one skein for me, one skein for Laura, and one skein for you guys. So I got 2 different colors. This is the bulky in the amped colorway, which is just crazy blues and reds and purples, and there's yellow and green and just all kinds of crazy colors in there. And then I got, this one is a worsted, not a bulky, and it's called Lusty. And this one's slightly less crazy and obnoxious, but I love it just the same. It's got greens and blues, some browns. There's even a little bit of purple in there.
Cool.
So Laura decided she wanted this one.
I did.
Laura is Lusty. And then, and I got 2 skeins of this amped color. So one of you guys will get a skein of amped. We'll open a prize thread in the group.
Yeah.
And
Leslie's gonna plot and ponder as to what the question should
I
be.
have to think of a good prompt question. We should make, that's going to be it. I'm
What?
going to, the prompt this week is going to be what should give us some good prompts for the future.
Ooh,
Wouldn't that be
good
great?
call.
Because
That's a good one.
like we're only 2 people and we're almost 300 episodes in. Our ideas, I mean, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel sometimes.
That's a good one. I like
So
that.
that's what we'll do. Crowdsource all the things.
I like it, especially since we purchased it, so it works
Yeah.
out. It works out perfect.
So from there, I left and went to Mood, which is a fabric store, because I wanted some large poster size pattern tracing paper, and it's hard to get that on the internet without paying a fortune in shipping. So
Yeah.
since I was going to be in New York, I went ahead and went by there. I got a thank you Mood shirt.
Yay, and you got to pet Swatch, right?
I did. Day was made. Yeah, I got to pet Swatch, who didn't care a bit because his master was getting his leash and they were about to go outside. He didn't care who I was.
It was like, and done.
Yeah. He's like, you can pet my butt, but I'm not paying any attention to you.
I got stuff to do, lady.
And then from there, I left and went to Pearl Soho, which is a great shop, knitting shop in New York City and in the Soho.
They have sewing materials as well.
They have
and
fabric,
embroidery, and some other stuff.
embroidery. They have quilting stuff. They have yarn. They have, I don't know that they have fiber, but they have looms and stuff. Like they had a baby wolf in there.
Yeah. That's where you got your cricket originally.
Yes. They make really good use of their space. I'll give them that. It is a beautiful shop, and I chatted for a long time with several folks, and I went there for sashiko, which is Japanese sort of embroidery.
Yeah.
And was chatting with Cassie, who works there, and she talked me into something completely different. But so I got 3 different sashiko patterns, and this is all stuff like you could get your own plain white fabric and draw this stuff on and stitch it.
With like a water soluble pen, you can totally do that.
I've been lazy, and I figured these are only like $10, and then I'll use the fabric to create something else. So, so I got a couple of white ones. This one's got sort of a maze labyrinthy look to it. And I got this one, which is sort of an apple core kind of design for a quilter. And then I got a navy one, which I actually pulled out last night after our recording failed, as a sort of consolation prize, and started on it. This one is navy, and I'm just using
pretty
plain white fabric, and it's just got a real simple curved design to it. So I just started that. I had a really hard time. This uses quilter's knots to secure the end when you're starting a new row.
Yeah.
I had a really hard time with quilter's knots, but I think I finally got it.
Good.
After Pearl, the one thing that we talked about yesterday that is linked in the show notes is called Haptic Lab. So,
so you got a quilt pattern.
Yes. So what this is, it started out with New York City, like the map of the streets. It's not topographical, but I can't remember what it's called. So basically it's just a map showing you what streets go where.
Yeah.
Well, if you picture that and then, you kind of shrink it down, the Haptic Lab people created this big, huge folded piece of paper that when you unfold it and then you baste it on top of a quilt sandwich.
Yeah. It's made to be quilted on top of like one solid piece of fabric.
Right. It's not
pieced fabrics.
Not pieced fabric, but yes, but like a big single piece of, white or blue or whatever fabric. You create your quilt sandwich and you just hand baste it together with basting that you can pull out later. And then you put this tearaway paper on top, and then you baste that down. And then you hand quilt all the streets.
Yeah.
And everything into it. And when it's done, it's absolutely amazing. You can buy just the pattern paper for anywhere between $40 to like $70. It just depends on what size you get.
Yeah.
And they have like New York City and Minneapolis and LA and like a bunch of major cities. But they've also done like the northern skies, the southern skies, and some other astronomical designs. That's the word. And so I was chatting with Cassie there and decided I would get the northern skies.
Yeah.
one, the lap size quilt one. Because Michael, my
so
husband,
pretty.
is into that sort of thing, and it would be a pretty display piece, you know, for like the wall or something. When I finish it in 10.5 years. But, it was lovely. You're frozen. Okay, so the video froze. Sorry about that. We're going to wrap this up pretty quickly. Laura's got to do a teachery thing.
Yep.
We did pull a number for the Another Crafty Girl giveaway. I've still got it pulled up on my phone. I think it's 280 something. Good thing I never close anything. Let's see. Random.org. 268. That was the number that I pulled.
Ooh.
For the Another Crafty Girl.
Yeah, and I don't have it up right now.
I'll pull it up. And
okay.
That person, I will IM you directly, and then you can get, actually, number 268. I'll look it up real quick. You want to talk about the Red Umbrella yarns?
Yeah, so we have 3 new prizes for, sorry if that was loud, I just shoved my bag right in front of the microphone. We have 3 total prizes, one of which is new, for the Craft All the Things. So we are doing a new technique, Craft All the Things. If you learn something new, then you can put the finished object in the knit-along thread and have a chance to win one of these awesome prizes. So there is this gorgeous yarn.
So pretty.
So pretty. It's a worsted weight from Red Umbrella Yarns. And because we're running out of time, I have plans. She sent me a skein too, and I'll talk about my plans for that. They'll probably be started next time we record. This is the Sangria colorway. Victoria is her worsted weight base. Just absolutely stunning. And then there is obviously the Another Crafty Girl worsted as well. This is the Business Time, which is a Flight of the Conchords reference.
Yep.
Colorway. Her worsted weight is also gorgeous. All the worsted weight. And then from Hobbledehoy, we have the Magical Realism Bats, which, her little batlings, which is totally like what Leslie and I love. It's a magical realism. And they look like that. They're really, really pretty.
Yeah, they're wool and silk.
Hand-dyed, super fun, superwash merino wool and silk. If you win these and you are not a spinner, I will spin them for you.
You're so nice.
I try. Now I feel super rushed because I've got to go to a basketball game. But, super awesome. I did want to share the Another Crafty Girl prize that we just gave away.
And this is for Christina Lou Who, number 268.
That's who it was. I knew it was Lou Who something. I couldn't remember.
So Christina, just PM Laura with your address and she'll get it out to you.
This is really, really pretty. It's her Strong Sock in the Serenity colorway. So I will send this out to you. We just wanted to say thank you to all our Patreon supporters again.
Yes. Anybody that donates anything as little as $1, we appreciate you very much. We really enjoyed our live Q&A. We will figure out how to do that more frequently and get back with you guys, and we'll try to do it in a more focused way so it's a little less scattered.
Yep.
So I think that's all we got this week. I hope that we can get this spliced together and it looks good. And
hopefully.
Laura's going to get to her game. So you guys have a lovely week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.